What's in the stars and the cards ahead for you this week? Welcome to the Energy Adventure Astrology with Irena show. I'm glad that you are here. As you hop on, give me a quick little hello. Let me know where you're watching from, because today I want to talk about how to protect your energy as an empath. And there are three specific ways that I want to offer to you, invite you to play with to help you through this busy season, especially as we're moving towards a full moon in Gemini, because that Gemini energy, it really helps bring through a lot of mental stimulation. But we might find that at times we're thinking a little bit too much. We may feel overstimulated, maybe even emotionally tender, or even like the world just keeps getting louder and louder and louder. And it's hard to discern what are our thoughts and feelings versus everyone else's. And then, especially today, if you're watching with me live Monday, the energy is really one of almost urgency, like act fast, act now. There's a bit of, you could say, aggressiveness. I feel it as a buildup, almost kind of like, don't think, just act, go, 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 go. The tricky part, though, is if you take a moment to ground and realize, so if you're watching this with me live, it's Cyber Monday, there's a lot of urgency that is being pumped out onto the airwaves, whether it's in your email inbox, ads that you're getting, watches buzzing, phones going off with alerts. That in and of itself is pretty loud, making it hard to discern your empathic, intuitive insights and what you really want. But then also, as an empath or a curious seeker, it's easy for us to tune into collective energy. And I'm trying to think of something because, it happens so subtly and so quickly that at times we just don't even recognize it or realize it. And it could be something as simple as I got an intuitive hit, to check to see if this one company, oh, you know what it was? I got an intuitive hit to check my email. I saw this one company that I never really order from, but I'd ordered a gift for someone. They sent me an email saying such and such is on sale. And I felt this urgency, like, okay, let me jump into it. Let me purchase this as a gift for this person. But I had to pause and I had to ask, is this my urgency? Is this my feeling? Because you see all these countdown timers. Sale is going to end. So many people are viewing this too. What's in your cart is in their cart. Just do it. Don't think. Just act. Holy cannoli. I don't know if you're feeling it. Let me know. Hopefully I'm not the only one. I don't think I am. That's why I want to share with you the techniques that I'm using for myself and with my clients this week. So good morning, Julie. So great to have you. Susan, so glad that you made it. And I'm going to reach out to you today with some information about Moon Club, because Moon Club members, we've got the full moon in Gemini sacred ceremony this week. Hello, Hannah. So great to have you from across the pond. Shannon, hello from Asheville. So great to have you. Okay, so let's jump into this because my goal today is to help give you the sacred practices and tools to navigate this energetic weather with grace and with ease, because not everybody gets or understands what it's like to be an empath. And some people even feel like we should get rid of empathy altogether, which I don't, it does not compute. It just no. We can move from empathy into compassion, because sometimes I feel like when we're in an empathic state, we can become so overwhelmed by emotions and feelings and noise that it's hard to take action. But when we're in a state of compassion, we can be present, we can help, we can offer our hearts, our love, our acts of service without losing ourselves or giving away our energy. And I want to talk about those kinds of things today so that you can stay curious and open-hearted without feeling like you need to harden your heart in this world. Because, oh my goodness, we're so blessed that you're here on this earth, bringing and sharing light and radiating it in the way that you do. So I'm going to invite all of you to place your hand on your heart and just tune in while I pull a card and just ask, what's the most important thing that you need to know going into this week ahead? I'm going to shuffle it and just kind of see who pops out to me. Six of Swords. So the Six of Swords is really a card about where you go, there you are. So we may be searching and seeking for those calmer waters. And this card is saying, yes, those calmer waters are ahead. So I realize my makeup is running. Holy cannoli. But as you're seeking those calmer waters, what this is encouraging you to do is say, take a moment to check in with how much you're bringing with you to these new calmer shores. And one of the things I think as an empath is that we can get overwhelmed. And let me know if this is you. I don't want to speak for everyone. I know I can get overwhelmed when there's a lot going on. This weekend, I had to take a detour, so to speak, from my original plans because I realized one of my cabinets is kind of disconnecting from the wall. Holy cannoli. I'm like, what do you do in this situation? I had all my precious mugs in there from my friend who's an artist. And I don't know if the weight of it was just too much. But luckily, the angels caught my attention and they said, hey, look, there's some light coming into your cabinet. Where is that light coming from? And I realized, oh my gosh, it's kind of falling apart, the cabinet. So I was able to take everything out and reorganize and rearrange all my cupboards because it was a bit of like a Rubik's Cube game. I had to let go of some things because I need to empty that cabinet. I can't have anything in there. It's a danger right now. So as I'm moving forward, I'm also being assaulted as I'm letting go and I'm creating that organization. What it did was it gave me a little bit more thinking space to navigate the craziness of all of the Black Friday sales, the Cyber Monday sales, trying to gift shop. What am I doing for which person? I'm starting to let go of physical items, but also the ideas and the thoughts around what a holiday gift needs to look like or be like, what the act of showing up for someone else needs to be, releasing past hurts and pains, so that as my heart is seeking calmer waters, and I encourage you to say, are there thoughts, are there beliefs that I'm carrying with me that as soon as I arrive in the new location, it's going to be heavy. And I tell another story about Joe. And Joe, he decides he wants to leave the town where he lives in. And you might have heard me tell this story before, but I love it. And so he says, this town where I live, it's no good. People are mean, they're cranky, they're rude. They're just not helpful. I want to move to a loving community. So Joe packs up his home and he loads the U-Haul and he drives off. And as he's driving cross country, he stops at this beautiful little gas station and he'd been seeing signs for a town ahead. And he stopped at the gas station and he asked the attendant, hey, what are the people like in this town? And the attendant said, well, what were they like in your last town? And he said, oh, they were terrible. They were no good. They were rude. They were mean, thoughtless, da, 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 da. And the gas attendant goes, yeah, they're pretty much the same here. And it's not that they were, but if we are embodying a particular energy, if we're carrying that with us, we're going to attract similar experiences, even if we change locations, whether it's jobs, relationships, towns where we live. This is saying this is a great time for release. The nights are getting longer. We are going into that deep cocoon phase so we can get ready for rebirth. And this leads me into one of the practices out of the three that I wanted to share with you today. It's really kind of the third one, but I'm going to just touch on it briefly, which has to do with a way of calming the mind. When your mind is racing, whether it's 3 a.m. or it's 2 p.m, if you're just being assaulted with all the thoughts and you're going into worry and the mind just keeps circling over and over and over, there's a practice that comes from the yoga traditions. It's a meditation. It's much more involved. What I'm going to give you is kind of like a abridged version, which is where you just bring your thumb tip to each fingertip. And I'm going to bring you through the practice here in just a little bit. I don't want to jump too far ahead, but the idea of this is that you are really connecting with the cycle of creation, recognizing that we get inspirations and ideas, that when we get those inspirations and ideas, we start to flow with that energy and move with it and engage. And at some point, as we're living, so like a birth, a living, we need to release and let go. And that 6 of Swords is really about saying what needs to be released, because otherwise it's just going to take too much to get to where you want to go. It's going to take longer. It's going to be harder. How can you travel lighter? And then finally, that pinky finger is symbolizing the restoration or the renewal. And we'll go through that. But I want to invite you to think of things as cyclical. And that's why I love sharing the moon and what's happening with the moon, because again, it gives you a way of saying, how can I align with the rhythms of nature, of the cosmos, so that I'm not working against the flow of energy, but I can flow with the go, so that you also step into the captain of your own ship. You become the captain of your own ship, and you tune into your free will, and you realize that you're not just at the whim of fates, that you don't have to just experience life happening to you, but you can really work. And it's not even about working smarter or more effectively. It's working with all your senses turned on as intuitives and empaths. That's the exciting part, is that you have an insider advantage. You realize that there's more to this world that can be seen. And that's what I love to do, is make the invisible world visible and teach you how to read the signs, how to translate the guidance, because you have guidance, angels and guides and loved ones. They're always around you, and they're trying to help you out. So can we hear that guidance? By the way, if we haven't met, my name is Irena Miller. I'm a spiritual life guide, an astrologer, and what I call an energy alchemist. It is my joy to bring together many different sacred traditions and practices to help you, an empathic, curious seeker, step into the world that you were born to live in, and to really step into the life you were born to live in. This is a joy for me. So let's talk about the overarching energy of the week, because we are moving towards that full moon in Gemini on Thursday. So you might feel just the mind moving. You might feel your nervous system a little bit more on edge. And again, as an empath, we tend to pick up things a little bit more or more easily than just day-to-day, adventurers who are like, why is that bothering you? It's not happening to you. But in essence, we're feeling the vibe of it. So cultivating your energy, your frequency, which is really just your attitude and your mindset this week, is going to help, how do I want to say, create your experience. You can think about it when you wake up. If you've ever stubbed your toe and like spilled coffee all over the place, and then you're running late, you're trying to get out the door and you realize, I got a coffee stain on my shirt, I'm going to be late, and then it's just kind of like it snowballs. One bad thing happens after another, or we miss out on the deal. All right, that ship is passed. What I want to invite you to do is play the what if game. What if that happened because that was your angels looking out for you, so that you were a few minutes late and you missed the accident or the backup on the road? What if it happened because that gift you were trying to get, the person really wouldn't have loved? It would have been close, but not quite exact. It's I'm saying that because I was trying to get a pair of slippers for my daughter and I just missed out, but it wasn't the color she wanted, but it was a great deal. It's funny, we're trying our best here. So just take a moment and start to recognize when ego, and I think ego is a good thing, by the way, but when we're trying so hard to make it work, we're working so hard, and we're trying so hard, and that's amazing. I tend to draw in and attract people who are incredibly resilient, and they are hard workers, and they show up for life. And I want to invite you to realize, remember, ask for help from your friends in high places, your angels, your guides, God, universe, especially when you feel like, I'm trying so hard, it's not working, or I missed it. What's going on? Why is everybody else getting it? Say, oh my gosh, maybe because I'm trying to do it all by myself. Okay, angels, okay, guides, where do I need to go? What do I need to pay attention to? And that's what really these gatherings are all about. So working towards that full moon in Gemini, the energy is building. Today, Monday, you might feel it really kind of intense, urgency, maybe even a little aggressive. So I'm going to give you practices to navigate through that. But in the meantime, something else I wanted to share is that we have this beautiful energy coming in this week between the planet of relationships, Venus, the planet of transformation, Pluto. And it's these two planets are having a conversation that are really encouraging you to examine who you trust and what aligns with your values, especially in a world that sometimes feels anti-empathetic. So on Tuesday, this might stir up a little bit more, especially after the noise of like the busy weekend, Thanksgiving in the States, sales, yada, yada, starts to quiet down. I want to just give you a moment to realize, take time on Tuesday, and I'll break down each day, day by day. But this week, there is something that stirs within the heart. Does this, does this really matter to me? Is this in alignment with my values? And by the weekend, there's going to be some deeper understanding of an emotional truth where more mature conversations can happen, and there'll be healing insights that unfold. So those are two of the really big things that kind of unfold this week. But if we look day by day, what I'm going to do is break down where the moon is, general energy of how that moon flavor can show up during the day and how you can harness it to make the most of it. And we'll pull a card as well. So today, Monday, the moon is in Aries. And again, like I've said, it's a fast energy. It might be a little sense of urgency, act now, a little bit of impulse. But as we move towards the afternoon, and exactly, double check, 1:14 p.m., I believe. Yep, 1:14 p.m. Eastern, the moon goes void of course all the way until like 10 p.m. at night, 10:13 to be exact. This is Eastern. Please adjust for your time zone. And why do I point this out? Well, in the morning, there's all this urgency, 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 urgency. And then by the time we hit, like right after lunch here on the East Coast, you might find that things start to slow down. It becomes a little more reflective. When the moon goes void, of course, avoid making any big purchases unless you've already been thinking it through. Avoid starting new projects. Avoid doing anything where you want something to come of it. It's really a reflection time. It's a time that's great for making appointments that you want to fall through. Or it's great for doing admin work, cleaning things up, releasing and letting go of things, journaling, meditating. So get most of the work done in the morning that you really want to be effective with and kind of wrap up and come to a conclusion or have it positive or any outcome. Because by the time we hit that 1:14 p.m. Eastern time frame, the moon starts to slow down. And when she's void, of course, all that means is she's not talking with any of the other planets in the sky. The moon is kind of relaxing. She's hanging out. She's not chatting with her other friends. It's just that kind of quiet, introspective time. And we feel that because the moon affects our day-to-day rhythms, our emotions. It can help us tap into our intuition. And if I pull a card and just ask, how can you make the most of Monday's energy? We'll see who comes out, the Empress. So it's a timing factor. If you feel like you're missing out on things, if you feel that urgency, I'm going to invite you to ground. So this is really the first thing that we do in these 3 steps I want to give you today. And to begin the grounding, take in a couple deep breaths. And as you take in that deep belly breath, what starts to happen is you become more present in the physical body. When we get into a state of agitation, or when we're kind of trapped in the mind, or if we're lovingly, a friend and I, we joke, we're like, oh, we're space cadets, we like to kind of be out in the etheric realms rather than physically present, taking a long time learning how to ground. And breath helps because when we're grounded, we're less thrown by all the other energy and noise in the world. And we realize that there is a divine timing at work, that we can't rush the process. And sometimes we get frustrated because the world doesn't like to wait. We like our fast food. We like our, fast deliveries. We want the answer yesterday. And nature doesn't work that way. If we plant a little baby tulip in the fall, a little bulb, we're not going to see that growth until the spring. We need to wait. So just take a few deep belly breaths. And I'm going to talk you through it. So kind of tuning into my yoga days, where when you do this breath work, make the breath even. So I'm going to encourage you, exhale completely, and then inhale to a count of 4. And exhale to a count of 4. And we'll do 2 more rounds. Inhale 4. And exhale 4. You can continue doing those deep belly breaths. And if that's an easy rhythm for you, and can you feel the shift and the change in energy already? So much fun. If that's an easy rhythm, see if you can exhale to a count of 5. Breath work will calm your nervous system. It will put you in your right mind so that you don't look back and say, oh my God, why did I do that? Why did I buy that? Why did I say that? Why did I do that? When we're caught up in the collective noise of the world, it's hard to be discerning. And that first way as an empath to protect your energy is to make sure you're taking deep belly breaths. And again, this is just kind of like a little sneak peek. In my yoga days, breath work was considered such a powerful practice that often it wasn't taught until after physical yoga postures were mastered. Because it takes a lot of flexibility, it takes a lot of strength to be able to sit up tall, and it takes patience. It's encouraging us to pause, to ground, to be in body before we react. So I'll encourage you this week, take just a few minutes. It could be when you're washing your hands. Just take those deep belly breaths. It could be, right before you go to bed at night. Anchor it to something else that you do during the day so it doesn't feel like you have to add a whole bunch of things. But the idea is that you act with intention, not urgency. Tuesday, the moon is in Taurus. Oh, yummy, yummy. Taurus moon is going to invite us to slow down, pay attention to your physical body, and really just do the things that bring comfort. A good meal, a fuzzy blanket, your comfy pants. You're laying the foundation and the groundwork. And so for that Taurus moon on Tuesday, how can you make the most of it? And she comes out upside down. And when a card comes out upside down, the energy is the same as right side up. It's just there's a block to it. And there might be some little nuanced differences. This Two of Wands is a choice point. She's at almost, you could consider it at a crossroads. She's got her beautiful catalog in front of her, her globe. She's got her sneakers on, even though she's dressed professionally. Hello, 80s. Remember that from the 80s where everybody would dress in their suits and sneakers to commute. Working Girl. Did you ever see that movie? Is that Meg? Oh my goodness, what was her name? Was it Melanie Griffin? Is it Melanie Griffin? Maybe. Anyway, I digress. A choice needs to be made. And she's been daydreaming. She's been looking at the catalog. Maybe she's been shopping online, planning where she wants to go in her adventure. But with it upside down, make sure it's your idea and your wish. I think sometimes, it's nice. I don't know about you guys. Sometimes it's nice to follow, some of the people who create, let's say, like a list. Like, here are the outfits. I put them together for you. Just go here and buy the outfits, and it'll be great for you. Or, here's the gear that you need to make YouTube videos. Go here and buy all of it. And what you might discover is, oh my gosh, that outfit looked great on the person I was watching, but my body's completely different. It doesn't work with me. Like chinos or pedal pushers or cropped pants. I love them. And even the wide leg pants, but my short little legs, I don't know that I can pull them off. They look so good on other people and I try, but I don't think it works for me. So this is saying, okay, the choices and decisions you're making, make sure that they are going to be in alignment with your values, your truth, and what matters. And that kind of goes back to the conversation that Venus, the planet of values, what matters to you is having the conversation with Pluto. Transformation is really a revelation of sorts because it's a breaking down into the deep-seated truths. What works for you? What's in alignment with you? So maybe you found or discovered you ordered something and you're like, oh my gosh, that really wasn't me. I need to make sure I return it or I gift it to someone. Okay, Wednesday, the moon is still in Taurus. So think about this as a great day to do the grounding practices. So the first part of grounding, the breath work. And so breathing in for 4, exhaling for 5 if you can. And if that's not possible, just in for 4, out for 4. The goal is that The breath is even in length because we tend to take a longer inhale and shorter exhales throughout the day. We tend to only breathe into the upper portion of our lungs, which sends us into a fight or flight state. When we take the deeper breath and we get the breath into the lower lobe of the lung, we trigger the cilia down there. It's kind of like the nose hairs that send a message to the nervous system. Okay, I might be under stress, but I'm not in fear of losing my life. This is just rather than the saber-toothed tiger, it might be the cyber-toothed tiger. Day-to-day kinds of stresses of modern world, but we're not in fear of losing our lives. What can happen is when we're doing those shallow breaths, it puts us into that hyper alert fight or flight state. And, great for quick responses. Thank God we have that. But if we're living our life day in, day out like that, we're constantly pumping cortisol, overworking the adrenals, and it's just not good for our body, especially as an empath, because again, we pick up on so much more noise than people who are not tuned into that empathy. So think of Tuesday, you're taking your deep breaths, and Wednesday as a time for grounding. And for this grounding practice after the breath, what I want to invite you to do is we're going to tune into that earth energy. So many different ways to ground. Breath is one. And this next one, I'm going to just invite you to imagine a beautiful column of light that comes from the center of the heavens down through the head, the throat, the heart, through the solar plexus, down through pelvic floor, between the legs, and down through 6 layers of earth: topsoil, subsoil, a layer of granite, a layer of fire, crystals, magma, to the very core and heartbeat of Mother Earth. And again, I did that very fast. You can do that slow, slow, slow. I share this at least every week, but if you don't have my grounding practice, irenamiller.co/get calm, you can listen to it here. And it's a 2-minute guided visualization to help you ground. By grounding, what you are doing is, again, you're able to practice discernment. What is my feeling, my thought, my emotion versus what I'm just picking up on the collective? There are ideas floating around us all the time, and we pick up on it. I don't know about you, but even just like somebody pops into your head and you're like, oh, wow, I haven't thought of that person in a while. I should reach out to them. And the next thing you know, they reach out to you. They send an email or a text. That happened to me multiple times last week. Last week was just a busy week with the holiday I hosted. So I kept getting all these intuitive hits of these people. And I thought, okay, I'll reach out. But like on Monday when I can be present and not like, trying to, make my tofurkey and get this out. So anyway, long story short, we pick up on what's around us. So Wednesday, how can you make the most of this Wednesday Taurus moon? Queen of Wands, make sure you rest. The Queen of Wands can really go, 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 go. And she burns the candles at all the ends. So much for trying to get this on. She burns the candles at all the ends, and she can end up feeling exhausted, drained, worn out. And Taurus moon is great for rest. The Taurus knows the importance of rest, of sleep, of eating a good meal, hanging out on the couch, that the work will be there. We'll get to it. There'll always be a list. We'll never finish the to-do list. I'm married to a Taurus. So I know that energy quite well. And I giggle because it drives me bonkers. I'm like, no, I can get through the list. I'll do all the things. Who needs sleep? Who needs rest? And that Taurus moon is here to help us, right? Get into the rhythms of nature, because we're not innately born with some of these gifts. So we lean on our friends who have these gifts to teach us, to show us. Just because we weren't born with it doesn't mean we can't embody it and start to learn it and engage with it. And that's, again, why following the moon can be so helpful. So Taurus moon says, slow down, wear your comfy pants, eat the good meal. And at the end of the night, it'll be late for us on the East Coast. There's another void moon, but it starts at 8:50 p.m. Eastern. So for West Coast friends, you'll be wrapping up work. And for our friends across the pond, you'll be asleep. But what I'm going to invite you to do, even everyone, wherever you are, Wednesday night, really take time to unplug, like practice good sleep hygiene on Wednesday. And when you practice that good sleep hygiene, maybe you're unplugging, you're not bringing your phone with you to bed, or you're only reading a book, or you're doing the breath work practice, wearing a sleep mask, something to really help kind of go into the dark and the quiet and nourish your soul. And we'll do a little soul care. Okay, Thursday, we have the Gemini full moon. Okay, so Gemini full moon. Let's just talk about Gemini for a moment. Geminis are curious. They ask a lot of questions. They have a lot of thoughts going through their mind constantly because they're curious. They were the ones who were, when they were little, might have been like, but why? But why? How does that work? But why? Why? They make great journalists. They're seekers in their own sense and way. Their counterpart is a Sagittarian energy who's seeking for truth, and Gemini is seeking, why? How does this work? Why is this happening? And what can happen sometimes is information overload. If you find that your mind just doesn't want to calm down, that's when I'm going to bring you back to, and I realized I didn't share this. If you find that your mind doesn't want to still, come back to the little hand gesture. So this is from a meditation practice, which is referred to often as Sa, Ta, Na, Ma. And Sat Nam, which comes from the Kundalini yoga tradition, really is saying, I align with my truth. I align with the truth. And I align with that truth and realize that there are times for beginnings and birthing of an idea, of an item, of a thing. There's times of living, there's times of releasing, and times of letting go. And so by utilizing this simple movement of yogic hand gestures, they're called mudras, bringing your thumb tip to all the other fingertips, it's going to start to calm the mind. Each finger represents an element. So what you're doing is you're balancing the elements within you. The element of fire, the element of air, ether, ground or earth, and water. And it corresponds with each finger. And when you bring them together, you're creating a balance within your being, calming the nervous system. And the Sa, Ta, Na, Ma practice is a more involved one. And I'm not going to bring you through the whole thing. This isn't just an abridged kind of way that you can utilize it in your day-to-day world right now. If you're interested in learning it a little deeper, drop a little sun emoji. But as you do this, I want you to think of, I start, I flow, I let go, I restore. So when you bring your thumb tip to your index fingertip, you say to yourself, I start. Thumb to middle fingertip, I flow. Thumb to ring fingertip, I let go. Thumb to pinky, I restore. And if you were to even just think of a day, you start the day, I start. Throughout the day as you're living and doing your tasks, I flow. At the end of the night, as you're wrapping things up and realize that not everything on the to-do list was done, I let go. And you prepare to go into the deep slumber for healing, respite, I restore. Thumb to pinky finger. So I let go, or I start. I'm ready for that let go. I start, I flow, I let go, I restore. And you can say that to yourself throughout the day, thinking about how the Empress card came up at the beginning for Monday, the energy that was really present, which is things are in cycles. And we're doing, again, the best we can in the moment. We're showing up with the information we have, the energy that we have, the engagement, and our mind could keep racing and it can go into that double thinking, second guessing ourselves. Well, maybe you should have done this, or you should have done this, or so-and-so would have done that. Cancel, clear, delete. First thing to protect your energy as an empath, deep belly breaths. Make that inhale and exhale even. Second thing, a grounding practice. And the irenamiller.co/get calm is my most favorite one and most requested. I always give that to my clients and students first and foremost. And then the final thing is that little mudra. Just a moving meditation for your hands. Excellent. So Susan, I see a little sun, so I'll get in touch with you about that. All right, let's pull a card for Thursday's Gemini full moon. What's most important that you need to know? The Emperor. I'm giggling, right? Because the cards all have a basic meaning, right? That's how you learn how to read cards. And I certified with an amazing teacher locally here and went through the 3 levels. And what you realize is that even though the cards have a textbook meaning, this is just a tool for guidance to speak through you. And it's really working with what you know. And what came through is like life is a game. And how you play it is what it's all about. There's a book by Florence Scovel Shinn that I love, How to Play the Game of Life. And that's really what comes through as I pull this card for us in the Thursday full moon energy. And when you think about how to play the game of life, what I want to encourage you to do is realize how powerful your thoughts and your attitude are. Realizing that what you love and what you feel shapes your beliefs. And it's those beliefs, it's that bhava, the yogis call it, the attitude. When combined with the thought or the mindset, it makes the biggest impact on your living experience. We can think all we want, saying affirmations and working with positive thought. But if we're not feeling it, if it's not in alignment with what or who we are, because it's what somebody else thinks would be good for us, we're not going to have the feeling, the energy, the emotion behind or connected with that thought. So we're not going to be able to make it a reality. And a lot of times I think we can beat ourselves up when it comes to manifesting, which really I see as co-creating, right? Manifesting, that's us. That's our ego. I love that edging God out for ego, EGO. We're trying so hard. Like, I've got this vision. I've got this idea. I'm gonna make it happen. Here's what I'm gonna do. And we talk with coaches and experts and we read the books and take the courses. Okay, I'm doing all these things, and it falls flat. And what we realize, maybe like the fashion list, wow, well, that didn't exactly fit me. I needed to tweak it a little bit. And that's again why I love to teach alchemy and why I call myself an energy alchemist. All of these sacred practices I gather and I really curate to bring you what is most needed in this moment, to create unique energy recipe practices, to tweak them a little bit, kind of like we're in the kitchen cooking. We're taking a little bit of this and a little bit of this, and we're creating the sustenance and support that's going to nurture your soul in the moment. So as we think about this card, how to play the game of life, what I'm going to really encourage you to do is take that moment with the full moon in Gemini, and as all the thoughts are swirling in the head, write them. Do a brain dump, write it out, and handwrite, not just type. If you can't, you can speak into your phone. You can always jot notes in your phone. But if you can handwrite, all the better. Do a brain dump, get it all out onto paper, right? And then read it back to yourself out loud so you can hear these thoughts and ideas. And then see what thoughts are in alignment with you, truly in alignment with what you value and your truth. And when you do that, then you could say, all right, how do I need to shape my thoughts, my beliefs, my feelings around this in order to co-create it, to help make it into a physical reality? So I'm really getting into more advanced practices here, and I teach my energy alchemist in the energy alchemy program. But I want to share it with you because I feel like, if it's too much, too overwhelming, let it go in one ear and out the other. But if it sits well with your heart, this is a key piece into really co-creating the life that's been living in your heart and to make it a reality. Okay, so let's talk about Friday's energy. Friday, the moon is still in Gemini. And again, Gemini is talkative, it's curious, it's thinking, it's about expressing yourself. Great day for journaling. Meditating would be hard with the Gemini moon because our mind isn't going to want to slow down. So I always love for the Gemini, because I feel like with so much thought and so much element of air, which represents the mind, and Gemini's an air sign. The thing is that to channel it into something detailed. So it's not like the Aries energy or any of the fire signs, Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, where it's like, okay, let's get up and move our body, physical. Sure, with the Gemini, maybe go out for a run. But what I find can be so cool is making your hands busy with some kind of detailed work. So whether it's the sa, ta, na, ma, or the I start, I flow, I let go, I restore with the thumb tip to each fingertip, or like something detailed like crocheting, knitting, paint by number, or something that requires your mind, but, a puzzle. But again, it's calming. It's a calming practice, maybe Sudoku. It's kind of fun. All right, I'll leave it at that. Let's pull a card for Friday. I don't think I pulled one for Friday. I didn't. So how to make the most of Friday's energy. I'm feeling this Gemini energy big time. 8 of Pentacles. So the 8 of Pentacles is take a moment to just step back and realize where your curiosity has led you. I love this woman because this is a great Gemini energy. Even though Pentacles is an earth sign, she has studied so much and she is certified and accomplished so much, how do I want to say, recognition for her curiosity and her studies. So with the Gemini mind or the Gemini moon, if you are falling into the thought of like, oh, and I want to learn this and I want to do this, and what about that? And what about this? And how about this? Take a moment just to step back and realize how much you've learned and how much you've done. And make sure that if there's anything that hasn't been fully kind of wrapped up, you realize, because with that full moon energy, it's about things coming to completion. So if there are any loose ends, like with my mediumship certification, there was some paperwork I didn't turn in, and the opportunity to do deeper study with my teacher came up. So I thought, okay, this is the way I'm going to wrap that up. I'm going to do the deeper studies with my teacher and finally get that piece of paper, that certification from him. That was something that was really heavy on my heart and mind. So maybe as you're looking back, you might say, oh, wow, I just didn't finish this one thing. I'd love to be able to just wrap this up. Anyway, Geminis, they're all fun energies. Who am I kidding? I love them all. All right, Saturday. Saturday is a Cancer moon. So Cancer moons, that's where my moon is when I was born. And just P.S., the moon, where it was when you were born, will always be there. So whatever zodiac sign it was when you were born in, it will remain that way. And if you wanted to know more about your particular moon, and you're like, well, I don't know where my moon is, Irena. I don't know how fast it's moving or how slow, or what I can do when things and times are stressful. What I'm going to encourage you to do is I do a moon map report, and it's irenamiller.co/moon, MOON, dash map, MAP. So irenamiller.co/moon dash map. And when you go there, what I do with that moon map report is I ask you for specific information about your birth time, date, place, and then I run a report for you that I personalize in detail just to you. And I let you know more about your moon, because the moon never changes where it was when you were born. And that lets you know something about your own soul and the way you navigate stress and emotions and can connect to your intuition and how you live or like to live on a daily basis. So like with me, with a Cancer moon, I tend to be a little more emotional than most, very sensitive, empathic, intuitive, because it's a water sign. Like all of these senses, I was born with them like on. The world was very noisy. And I've learned how to be in the world, but not of it. And that's why I love sharing these practices with you. I like my creature comforts. I love working from home. People are like, oh, go to a coffee shop, you can get things done. Or, some people get a hotel room when they've got big projects they need to finish. No, I don't want to leave home. I've got my fur babies. I've got my yummy chocolate, my hot cups of tea, my books. I'm comfy. I'm cozy. I'm nested. My little Cancer energy here. So I don't have to beat myself up about that. I know that that's what my soul values and where I can thrive. So when you know where your moon is, it can make a big difference. Now, on the other side of this, the moon on a day-to-day basis changes through zodiac signs about every 2.5 days. So what that means is every 2.5 days, the emotional energy that we encounter, kind of the feeling of the day, maybe the day-to-day rhythms, the way intuition comes through, what might motivate us or not motivate us, the moon can flavor and dictate. It's a little bit of a nuance. So it comes through. So like today, the Aries moon, which is like, go, 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 go. Let's do it. Don't think, just impulsive, jump in, leap before you look. My little Cancer moon engaging with that is like, okay, oh no, what did I miss? Oh no, did I make a mistake? Oh no, oh, like I get over emotional about it. So I just know, okay, Aries moon, there's going to be an urgency to go. I'm going to take my deep belly breaths. I'm going to ground, and I'm going to just align with a nice, calm, grounded nervous system before I take action. So that Cancer moon on Saturday is making you maybe a little bit more sensitive. Even if you have a Capricorn moon, which is its complement, Capricorn moon's very stoic. Capricorn moon doesn't like to show emotion because Capricorn moon says, why cry about it? Why get overly emotional about it? That's not going to fix it. Let's come up with a plan to move forward. They're visionaries. They're the ones who really can think long term. Whereas a Cancer moon is really connected to the emotions. Doesn't mean a Capricorn doesn't feel. They feel deeply and plenty. They're just utilizing their emotions in a different way. And so when a Capricorn moon, if you were born with your moon in Capricorn, experiences Saturday's energy of the Cancer moon, you might just feel a little bit more emotional than normal. You might want to be around family a little bit more than normal instead of like at the office working or bringing work home on Saturday. So see, there's these little nuances that can make all the difference. So Saturday, take time with family, rest, give yourself time just to really feed your soul. What does your heart want? What would light it up? And we ask, how can you make the most of the energy? 7 of Cups. So 7 of Cups is when we have so many choices and options, we just can't make a decision. And Cups is a watery energy. We can be just overly inundated with feelings, emotions. There are different holiday parties going on this time of year, family events. Which one do I go to? What am I doing? Where do I go? And what I'm going to invite you to do is go back to those 3 practices to help protect your energy. Deep belly breath, ground with that beautiful column of light, and then the finger exercise, the yoga mudras. And when you do that, it's going to be easier to make your choice and decision. It's kind of like the fog clears, because in the 7 of Cups, there's a bunch of fog around each option and choice. And it's kind of disguising like, oh, there's a snake behind door number 2, and oh, there's a bat behind door number 4. And it's like, which one do I go to? So do those 3 practices. It'll help. Okay, Sunday, the moon is still in Cancer. And with that Cancer moon, again, just time with family this weekend if you can, or maybe at home. Maybe you're like, I don't want to go to that party. I just want to stay at home. The moon's in Cancer. You might feel more like staying at home than going out. And so you give yourself grace. And if you have to go out, maybe you say, okay, I know I really want to be home because the moon is suggesting and encouraging me to nest and just cuddle up with a good, movie and some hot cocoa. But I have to go to this party. I have to show up. And you just be tender with yourself. You really protect your heart and emotion. Maybe you wear clothes that feel comfortable, or maybe you say, I'm going to leave at this time so I can go back home and get into my jammies. All right, how to make the most of Sunday's energy. I love it because 6 of Cups. So number 1, we're getting all the cups, which is water. And the Cancer sign is a water sign. And this is about connecting to your past, remembering. It's a fond remembrance of, you have an older gentleman with his beautiful big golden retriever, a lab, and he's remembering when he was a little boy and his doggy was a puppy. And it's that reminiscing. It's like, oh, let's, it's kind of like Old Lang Syne. You're kind of looking back and you're just reflecting. And it's I get chills. It's a sweet energy. It makes me think of the 8 of Pentacles that came up. I think it was for Thursday's energy. Can't remember which day now, but it's a reflection. How far have I come? What have I accomplished? What am I doing? Which is a nice thing to do at the end of a year as we're preparing for 2026. 2026 is an adventurous year, a lot happening astrologically, and I'm excited to be your guide through it. And I've got more tools and practices to support you as we jump into that adventure. But for now, this weekend, take time to reminisce, to look back. It helps inform our choices in the future when we have a moment to reflect. All right. Thank you all so much for being here with me. It's such a joy to have this time together. I love being with you live. If this has helped you, if it resonates with you, please do like, subscribe, share it with a friend. Drop me a heart emoji if you've made it this long. And thank you for sticking out with me. I know these are long energy weather reports. There's just so much to share with you. And I think I'm going to come out with my shorter show during the week too, going back, reviving my Inklings with Irena. But yeah, you're so welcome, Tisha. Thank you for joining. Thank you, Julie. Much love. Mwah. And I will catch you all on the flip side. Thanks, Susan. Great to have you on live with us today.